Hello there. Welcome back to our Imperial Republic of Byzantium, soon to be Rome. I did some research, as it were, on that event that makes everyone hate us if we control Rome, and I do think it's going to become unsustainable. If we look at our antagonism right now, you can see here we're getting the infidel holds Rome, which is giving us -70, and it's only going to increase. We can see pretty much all Catholic nations have it. Even little Iceland up there got that 71. Well, we can see countries like England that have switched over and are no longer Catholic. It's decayed a lot for them. And I really just think it's unsustainable because it's just going to keep rising and we're going to end up in a constant coalition sort of situation, which would make it very hard to expand. Simply because, we'll fight one coalition, then another one will immediately spawn. So I was wondering how to get around it. We could just get rid of Rome for the moment, right? We could sell it off to somebody. We could even sell it back to the Pope. I saw a guy the other day on Reddit, I think, and he sold Rome to the Pope for like 600,000 ducats. I wasn't thinking to do that though. I was thinking to release a vassal in the area and give them Rome. I want to test whether that does cause the event to keep happening. The vassal's going to be Catholic or Protestant, I think. I'm curious whether it will work. Because the event, I checked it, it only checks if a non-Christian controls Rome. So if we release this guy, release him as a Pronoia, as usual, he is, yes, a Lutherite. So if we give him Rome to govern, he shouldn't trigger the event. And the event said nothing about the Overlord. So we are his Overlord, obviously. But the event said nothing about, if the Overlord of a person controls Rome. So we'll see if that helps with our antagonism situation. Outside of that, I think we're going to be a bit peaceful for a bit. We do want that antagonism to decay, and we'd like to build our treasury back up. I actually think we're going to expand our army as well. Currently, when it comes to strength, we're quite far down in the chart. Although, look at that Korea. Korea's the second strongest great power. Impressive. But yes, we'd like to boost up there. I think we'll actually try and surpass Ming. We've currently got 30,000 men. We could double it at minimum, maybe triple it, up to 90,000. We'll see how it goes, though. The main problem is going to be manpower. Our current army is costing us around 450 manpower a month, and we only gain 787. So it's very possible our manpower income will just eclipse us, so we'll need to think about that. Our stability is also over -50, so we can't actually declare war for the moment. So we'll need to wait for that to improve as well anyway. Oh, I wasn't actually paying attention, but it looks like Latin has spawned. So we can now switch over and become Latin. Latin revival has also begun. So countries that speak the Romance language, whether they're Christian or Hellenic, will begin converting over to Latin. We may even see it spread over into France without our input. We of course want to switch over and become Latin. Being Latin does have some benefits. It means we'll both be in the Roman group and the Italian group, so we can grab Italian advances. And I believe they fixed some of the problems with switching to it over being Greek. What we do though, we want to set our Greek opinion of Latin to kindred. That way, when we switch over, we won't immediately have our cultural capacity collapse from having to accept Greek. It's likely going to collapse anyway from all of the opinions we have of all these cultures are just disappearing. I've saved up my improve culture opinion action, so we may be able to help with that. But let's switch over. We too are Latin. We are now very much over our cultural capacity limit. Let's spend our cultural action. I think we'll spend it on, it's either Egyptian, Lower Egyptian, or Turkish. I think we'll spend it on Egyptian because I now want to try and convert a lot of Turks over. As I said, we're going to be over our cultural capacity for a while. It's not really avoidable. I guess we could just drop some of these cultures, but it would, damage our economy to do so. Let's also check that antagonism map mode while we're here. Yes, we can see the hold Rome is stopped increasing beyond the 70. It's dipping down now. So we're just waiting a while. We'll get rid of it. In around 20 years, it should have almost fully decayed, but we're not going to wait 20 years before we start a war, obviously. We now no longer have below -50 stability, so we could start a war. I think what we're going to do is we're going to conquer the bit of Rome that Georgia controls. That will allow us to trigger the event, which will convert a lot of the pops in Anatolia. 10% of the non-Roman pops in Anatolia that reside in a town or city will convert to our culture, That's something I wanted to do because it would mean we'll convert a bunch of Turks over to being Latin, which will help with our current predicament. We are going to experience a few revolts now, because a lot of the pops that liked our previous Greek culture now don't like us. I suppose we could stop taxing our nobles a bit, actually. That would help a lot of these guys feel better, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to avoid some of these revolts just because the rate at which they're increasing is so high. I guess we could just release some historic subjects or custom subjects in their lands. That has a habit of resetting revolters. We could just set somebody very old to manage these territories. Since we already have cores, we don't need them to core the land for us. So they can just die within seconds of being appointed, potentially. And in so doing, they'll solve the issue. I wasn't able to avoid the revolt. We've got a few people. Sicily, who controls a lot of land. And then this republic here in Italy, who's actually a vassal of these guys. And a bit of a Bulgarian revolt. Nothing we can't handle though, really. So we'll see about handling them. We'll also begin fabricating our Restore Roman Borders CB on Georgia. There's the revolt crushed. Might as well have not happened. We're going to have a revolt by Catalans. Oh, I guess it's on these islands here. I guess we'll just release them again as a historic vassal. Another reason why I like releasing vassals is because, you know, they'll make money in their territory that's too far for us to actually make any money. Then they'll die and we'll inherit their treasury. There's our CB against Georgia. They've got Romania on their side, but I doubt they're going to be a big concern. They've only got this tiny 2 locations here that are part of Trebizond that we need to take, so they shouldn't provide anything even close to an issue. We may have a bit of revolt behind us amongst our Serbians, Bosnians, and some of the Italians. Let's actually take a look at Latin culture. It's only been a few months. Has it spread much? Well, there aren't any in Constantinople. I guess it hasn't spread much. Where's the movement located? Because it's only present in 8 locations currently. It's weird that you can't see it from hovering over it in this screen. We have to go to the movement map mode, if I can remember that where that was. I was looking right at it. There it is. So we can see our movements. We can see the Latin movement is happening over here in Italy. Not unexpected. I don't know why I thought Greeks would be converting, because it only converts Romance languages, right? I thought converting to Italian or becoming a nation in the Italian group would give us access to Italian advances, but it doesn't seem it does. Maybe Latin is specifically made in such a way that it doesn't. Wouldn't surprise me. It is a little sad though. What's the point of becoming Latin if we can't enjoy being Latin, right? Well, let's move our army into position. Now let's attack Georgia. We'll have to see whether they call up the billions of mercenaries they called up when we last fought against them. As discussed, we only want this tiny slither of land. That's the only thing we can actually take in this war. We'll start sieging it immediately. We'll see how the Georgians respond. I'm going to avoid calling up levies for now. Well, they responded by attacking us with an army of levies, I think, but we defeated them. Looks like they're sending in their regulars, though. Yeah, they're going to attack us. Well, let's see how it goes. Ooh, they actually pushed us back. And at the same time, we've had a large-scale revolt behind us, being led by the Serbians. Shouldn't be too much of an issue, though. Our vassals should be able to just finish them off, or defeat them the first time round. Whoa, it looks like my army just retreated into the Georgian army and got stack wiped. That's really annoying. I couldn't control where they were retreating to, but they were retreating to this province, which from here, which apparently a Georgian mercenary band was in. Well, alright, I guess we don't have an army now. I guess it's time to summon the Cursed Band. Let's call up some mercs. I think 2 regiments should do. 60,000 or so men. We'll hire them for the long haul. We do have a coalition forming against us amongst the people who are still angry from us controlling Rome. Let's actually take a look at the antagonism map mode while we're here. The infidel controls Rome modifier is still decaying. It is scary though. I'll have to remember when our vassal eventually dies that we need to reappoint someone else to control Rome. If I forget, it could be pretty disastrous. Speaking of disastrous, apparently the Georgians have called up around 1,500,000 mercenaries. So that's interesting, I suppose. One thing is, the AI doesn't tend to hire mercenaries for the long haul. So after about 2 years, they'll all get fired. And then the AI will have to rehire them. So hopefully we can hold out until then. One good thing of note is it didn't look like my regulars were destroyed, just that they were largely captured. So once the war's over, they'll be returned to us. There's the revolters done. Now we can focus on the Georgians and their Romanian allies. We are going to have a Hungarian revolt though, that's annoying, because Hungary may join. If we weren't at war, I would just give out this land to a Pranoia. We're very close to them not being hostile, though. Problem is just our stability. It's what's driving people towards revolting, but there's not much we can do about it other than wait, and I guess spend money to get rid of it. We could canonize somebody, but that won't increase stability. We could host a Roman festival, but that also won't increase stability. We'll just have to stomach it. The real concern would be if the coalition attacked us right now. How strong is the coalition? Do they have France in? No, France has its own coalition against it, with 2 people in. The coalition considers itself slightly stronger at the moment. Let's increase relationships with some of the people in it. It's unlikely we're going to be able to stop them being angry, though, just because the antagonism is so high. But as discussed, it is decaying. Maybe we shouldn't have gone on the offensive and just kept waiting for it to decay, but I don't like waiting. The Hungarians revolted. That's going to be an annoyance. Although it's only Hungary fighting us together with the 2 rebel states. And because Hungary's leading the revolt, we can't annex the revolter, so we're actually going to have to occupy the forts of the revolting nations, which is even more annoying. We should just be able to summon levies for this one down here in Africa, though. Hopefully they can manage it. And then there's just the one over here in Hungary. But at the same time, we're still at war with the Georgians. Question is of who to prioritize. I think I will prioritize the Georgians. There are a few battles against the Georgians and we managed to pacify them. We'll take a bunch of money from them. And the land we need, I guess we'll just leave the rest of them. We don't particularly care about them. Apparently we are missing some locations in Anatolia. I'm not really seeing where, though. I did take all of Georgia's land, yes. I'm really not seeing anything. Maybe it just needs to tick. Maybe it hasn't registered that I've taken that land from Georgia yet. But I'm definitely seeing all of it being under our control or under the control of our vassals. Who can say? We did get our army back, luckily. As I said, they only lost 3 regiments, so it shouldn't be that difficult or expensive to get them back up to full strength. It's going to take a bit of manpower, though, because they're very much reduced. Hungary did call Venice into the war. That's interesting. I was about to say, should we get greedy and take something from them? I guess we could ask them to release countries, like Ragusa, who they have captive. But honestly, I think I'd much rather just bring the rebellious nations to heel and be done with it. Ooh, just as I say that, the Mamluks attack. Alright, so they're leading the coalition against us. Hopefully this will be the last coalition made up of the You Control Romists. As before, we could just let them humiliate us, pay them war reparations, and then they'd accept 11,000 gold to go away. We could bring them down to 9,000 by demolishing a fort. That would be most of our treasury, though, and would put us into debt, just for a little while. But I guess we'll take our mercenary army, we'll turn towards them. We'll ignore the Hungarians for now. Our main army has almost replenished its strength. We could send them against the Hungarians, but I'm a little hesitant to. Hungary has a very large army, and a lot of them are mercenaries, so I think we'll be a bit cautious. Stack wipe the Mamluks a little bit, see if we can't intimidate them, and then we'll go sit on their capital. Should we bother occupying it? It's going to take a while to siege it down. We could make peace right now, I guess. Let's give them a humiliation. Let's give them the war reparations, and I think demolish the one fort they hate, which is this one. Then how much money would they want? They'd still want 9,000 gold. Should we just pay them? It would put us into a little bit of debt. I think we'll just pay them. Don't want them distracting us any more than they already have done so. Those Mamluks are really treating us like we're Ming. They come in, extract our wealth, bully us. Alright, so now we just need to beat the Hungarians and their lots and lots of mercenaries. Also Venice and their lots of mercenaries as well. Oh, and we've got another revolt. This one, though, is only made up of Liberians and looks like some Neapolitans joined as well. Revolts are a little weird now, I find. Countries, well, pops that aren't close to revolting seem to join revolts that happen. So my Neapolitans weren't even close to the top. Maybe they were above 50%, maybe that's the criteria. Ah well though. These Liberians aren't very strong, and as they're the ones leading the war, they're the ones that have to be defeated. We'll call up a few 100,000 Egyptians and have them go deal with them. I really want to stack wipe this Hungarian levy army, but these 40,000 mercenaries and regulars are kind of just shadowing us. Almost as if they know. Almost as if they won't allow it. So I guess we'll pull away. They're actually pursuing us. They're going to attack. We might lose this. We moved to a flatland province, which we shouldn't have. We should have stayed on the mountain. In fact, we should be able to escape to this mountain here. Let's see if they still want to pursue us when we're on the mountain. They are. They're going to attack us. I guess we'll see how it goes then. The answer is we won. I guess the AI underestimated us, but they have way more mercenaries, so that's just a drop in the bucket, really. The Hungarians would be willing to peace out right now, but we need to occupy the rebels, which is going to take a little while because they have a fort that we'll need to siege down. If the Venetians would leave the war, that would be great, because they're bringing in the majority of the men now, 100,000 soldiers. Have the mercenaries all been fired? Is that why the numbers have just changed? It might be. No, they still have some. It could be the lion's share of the mercenaries have had their contracts run out. We took a loss there. I'm going to summon up the levies. I actually lost because just as we were fighting, I had an event which removed my general from command. So we ended up fighting with no general, which allowed them to, overcome us. The Venetians would make peace now, but Ragusa has become disloyal. Let's just make peace with them. There's no need to get greedy. Our antagonism is still decaying from holding Rome, and we're not quite ready to go on the offensive against the Europeans again. Oh, I guess though Ragusa's barely anything. To be fair, though, we probably want to restore Roman borders CB to take it just because it would massively reduce the antagonism. As I said, there's no need to get greedy. Not just yet, at least. Now, we just need to beat up the Hungarians, and they've pretty much run out of mercenaries, it looks like. There's only 80,000 of them left. Finally, we've sieged down that fort. We can retake our vassals' territory, or at least the rebel territory. We could also take a little more from Hungary. I know I said we shouldn't get greedy, but it's tempting. We could just take all of this land and give us a complete connection to our land over in Italy. It would anger people, though. A little too much, I think. I mean, we don't need to take all of that, do we? We could just take a province? Just one? You know what, we'll take nothing. I know it's hard not to, but we're just trying to avoid the coalitions as it were. We'll take a bunch of money. 6,000 gold, that should be at least a good payment to us. I guess we could also have them liberate land. It's too bad liberating Transylvania is too expensive. But we'll have them liberate some land. We could have them return some cores as well. We could return them to Austria. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. But instead, we'll return a province to some of the little people. And then I guess we're done. And we've managed to get our stability low enough that we're no longer getting the big rebel armies. We do still have some rebel pops, but some of these are from land that we've conquered that's about to be integrated. It also says we still haven't conquered all of Anatolia. We're missing something. Is it considering parts of Crimea here in the Anatolia? It could be. It does mention the Black Sea, but it says here it doesn't consider seas. It only considers locations, but I'm not seeing one I'm missing. Let me zoom in with my eyes. Is there like a tiny island I missed? I don't see one. It's all looking pretty purple. Everyone here is a vassal of me, so they should be fine. Is it considering this mountain? No, it wouldn't because it's not ownable. How odd. Let me go to the actual Anatolia map. There it is, Anatolia. I don't think we're missing anything. We have Cyprus. I'm really just not seeing what we could be missing. We took these provinces from Georgia. We control the rest of it, don't we? Yes. These guys belong to us, so they're not an issue. I just don't see it. Maybe we do need to integrate the vassals here, but it said vassals were fine. Ooh, I see. It says they have to be a pronoia. Are any of these not pronoia? This guy's a pronoia. This guy is. This guy is. These pronoia are all led by the same guy as well. His family have managed to inherit a bunch of pronoia. That's pretty funny. It looks like he might be the last of his line, though. He's 42, hasn't managed to have any children. But yeah, one of these guys must not be a pronoia. It's him. You're not a pronoia. You're a vassal. How dare you get annexed? It's going to take a little while to annex him, obviously. But what are you going to do? It is what it is. Then I can convert my glorious Turks to being glorious Romans. Now that we've recovered a bit from that war, actually we've got a bit of inflation. Let's bring our minting down a bit just to get rid of that. Don't want to have any more cost than we ordinarily do. We can think about repairing our army. As I said, they only lost 3 regiments, but 3's a little too many. I do want to expand our army. We just need the manpower for it. So I think we're going to spam out a bunch more training fields. Might as well. I also didn't notice, but our name switched to Eastern Roman Republic instead of the previous Byzantine Republic. I guess because we're Latin now, we get a different name. We're still well over our cultural capacity limit, so that's weakening things considerably. I'm considering dropping some of our acceptances. The problem is it's going to cost stability, right? Something we really don't want to be on the back foot of any further. Who knows, maybe we'll get a good event or so that gives us some stability, then we can think about it. All right, we're doing a lot better economically and on manpower, so I think we're going to double the size of our army, as I keep saying I want to. We could start including some cataphracts. The problem is we can only have 9 of them, and we're actually going to have less as time goes on because they're relevant to the number of Greeks we have. So in reality, they're not that helpful, and they're not going to stick around long. And we also haven't upgraded the default horsemen, I don't think. Yeah, we need the light lancers. And I guess we could just research lancers as well to gain access to normal heavy cavalry. It's a little sad that we can't really use our cataphracts, but, you know, I wasn't really using them anyway, though that's definitely more of a me problem. I guess I'll throw in a group of light horsemen. We can upgrade them to the higher level horsemen once we gain access to the research. And then I'll create another regular regiment. I guess we'll include the light horsemen in these ones as well. It will increase the price a bit, but we have a lot of money at the moment, so we can afford it. There we go, we annexed that small nation. Now we're eligible for this event. It's only a 1% chance, but it should eventually happen. Egypt's back with another coalition. If they attack us this time, we should just absolutely demolish them. We won't be in the middle of a revolt and a war and everything else. And we've managed to bleed out quite a lot of our antagonism. If all these people joining the coalition would get out of my way, we can see our antagonism apparently to 0 with places like Castile. Not sure I believe it. Yeah, I guess it is. We can still see, though, that we've still got the infidel controls Rome giving us that -20, which should decay in around 2 decades. We're still, of course, improving relationships with people in an attempt to counteract it. But at this point, I'm not really concerned, despite all of these people joining the coalition. There we go. Let's restore those Greek cities. Let's take a little look at the cultures. There's currently 0.7 Latins in the world. After we press this button, let's see how many there appear. And we went up to 0.87. So 17% of our population has converted, or 0.17% converted over to being Latin. We can see there's a little few Latins around now. Not enough to become the majority, obviously, but it's nice to see them spreading. Ooh, the Mamluks actually declared war on us. Honestly, didn't think they were going to, because I felt like we were a tad too strong. Oh well, who am I to tell the Mamluks what they can and can't do? We'll focus on just beating them up. We're going to try and not give them too much money this time, because, well, mainly because I don't think we need to. We might end up giving them war reparations, though, depending on how we're feeling. The coalition is quite strong at 650,000, and we're of course not going to call up levies. We're just going to siege them down with our regular armies. Although I say that, and I immediately march one of my armies in, and they get stack wiped. How awful. I guess maybe let's make peace. They actually don't seem to be that demanding this time around. War reparations and a humiliation is almost enough. Then 3,000 gold? I'll pay them. Give me back my soldiers. Definitely not a nice first showing for our army. We didn't lose much of them, though. But that was absolutely pathetic on my part. I definitely shouldn't have just ran in on their capital. As I said, pathetic on my part. Hopefully, though, we shouldn't see another coalition. Or at least not one like this. Our stability's also gotten back into the positive, finally, which is excellent. For some reason, our local governor disappeared in Cairo. Oh, I know why. It was the revolters before, right? I'm surprised it took me this long to notice. But yes, we'll need to rebuild that. I always forget the revolts make you lose your local governors if they cut off the capital. Honestly, they probably shouldn't do that. Local governors should probably just turn off if they're cut off from the capital, instead of just vanishing. Alright, I'm feeling antsy because I haven't really expanded much at all this session. We've just been building up our manpower, our economy, and fixing things. But I think our next target will be Venice. We're going to cut through them, take Ragusa, get up to Ferrara here. We really want to start cleaning up Italy. We'll probably leave Rome in the hands of a Paranoia for really until the point where there's not enough Catholics left in the world to oppose us. It'd be nice if Lutheranism took over from Catholicism, but it doesn't look like it's fully going to be able to. Let's have a little look at the country makeup. We can see, yeah, not many countries have converted to Lutheranism. England has, though, which is nice, I guess. So we won't necessarily need to worry about them getting very angry at us. Maybe we could even ally with them. Well, actually, they consider us a rival. And I don't actually like allying with the AI. I prefer flying solo as much as possible. Right, there's our CB on Venice. We could just declare war on them right now. They'll bring in Hungary, Austria, Ferrara, some other miscellaneous Italians. Apparently we like them, or they like us a little much though, so we'll need to insult them. Before we fight, should we raise another regular army? We'll need to save up a tad more money, but we definitely have the manpower for it, and we have quite a high manpower income now. I think we'll wait. We'll wait a little bit. Having 3 armies, would that put us onto the position to have the military hegemony? I don't think so. No, we'll just be a little bit behind Ming still. But when we eventually make a 4th army, then we'll surpass the Ming. Or when we next upgrade our soldiers to their next level. Alright, let's create that army as discussed. Alright, 3rd army online. Let's bring everybody over to the Hungary/Venice area. Then we'll think about declaring war. Alrighty, everyone's in position. We'll declare war on Venice. We'll probably focus on knocking out Hungary. Oh, I forgot to insult them. Let's insult them first to make them not like us so we don't lose stability for declaring war on somebody that likes us. It's not actually because Venice likes us, it's because Austria likes us and they're going to join the war as a co-belligerent. So let's insult them. Then we'll declare war. As I mentioned, I want to prioritize the Hungarians. I feel like they're the primary threat, especially if they start spamming out all those mercenaries that we know and love, right? We'll have to see how our regular armies perform now against the mercenary hordes. Well, we've been doing quite well against mercenary hordes, winning a lot of battles. Always got to keep an eye on that manpower though. A lot of armies have taken a bit of damage. Let's actually pull back a little. Let the manpower replenish, then we'll go back in. Whenever Hungary's willing to peace out, we'll probably just white peace them. We'll probably white peace most of the people in this war though, if we can. We don't want to take too much from them and risk a large antagonism increase, especially when the effects of the heretic controls Rome modifier are still in effect. Speak of the devil, Egypt has formed another coalition against us. To be fair though, they have like 200 antagonism against us from us taking all their land. We'll have to see if people want to join this one this time around. Let's take a little look at that antagonism map mode. It's pretty sparse now, it's pretty sparse. We can see the infidel holds Rome is only given 3.1, so it's going to fully decay in about 2 years. We've tapped out when it comes to manpower. That was one of the things I was afraid of. And of course they've still got lots of mercenaries to call up on. Although actually not that many, just around 10,000 or so left for the Hungarians. Not sure about the rest of the people obviously. A Hungarian army is approaching us, I guess let's kill them. Lack of manpower is going to be what's really holding our large regular armies back, but there's not much we can do about that, other than continuing to massively build manpower buildings and waiting for later ages when we'll have more manpower buildings. Ooh, our vassal that controls Rome has died. We can't release them right now because we're currently at war. I guess we'll just have to stomach it. Surely it won't be that bad, right? Surely we won't get a billion antagonism just for controlling Rome for a few short months, right? We've occupied Ragusa, and I think they're disloyal enough that if we sabotage relationships between them and Venice, yep, we should be able to just fully annex them. This won't cause much antagonism with anybody, so we'll do just that. Finally remove Ragusa from here. We'll probably release them again as a Pronoia, just to integrate their land. And they should make us a tad bit of money because of their location, so when we do reintegrate them, we should receive a nice lump sum. Oh, there goes Austria. I don't think we even fought a battle with them, actually. They were just here, I guess. The Hungarians are the ones we want to leave. Problem is we can't really make them. We kind of just have to wait. I'd love to just walk in and siege them down, but Hungarian forts are a lot stronger than the average fort. Although, maybe not. They're actually above their fort limit, and that's reducing the defense of their forts. Even so, wandering into Hungarian territory is a bit dangerous, especially when we're out of manpower. Alright, there goes the Hungarians. Good thing too, because they're about to jump on us with, I think, 2 big armies. Maybe not, though. Looks like it was only going to be around 30,000. We probably could have won that. With Hungary gone, only Venice is really the one left with any real army. Should we full annex Venice in this war? Let me look at what happens if we take all of their territory outside of their capital. It would give us around -40. Doesn't look too bad, though. No one's really going above 50 except for Chile, which they shouldn't really be hostile to us. We're the ones that made them exist, after all. They are getting the antagonism against us. Is that from us controlling Rome? Let me actually just check. It doesn't like it, actually. Where is Chile? There it is. No, it's not from controlling Rome. They just don't like us. But I am a little hesitant about going all the way and taking Venice proper, at least in this war. We could take everything up to Venice. This would actually give us a land connection over, and this would leave them with just... Actually, we could take the fort there, couldn't we? And then Venice would be isolated on the island. How long does it take for us to siege a Venetian fort? Though it's very fast. We do have 100%, I think, spy network on them. 90. So we can actually siege very quickly. And they're very far above their fort limit. They're 50% above. So actually sieging down Venetian-controlled territory should be very quick. With that in mind, maybe we shouldn't hesitate. Ooh, they're throwing themselves onto us, and there's a lot of them. We could just peace out right now and take nearly all of Venice's territory outside Venice itself. Could we? No, we can't peace out the ones leading the attack, or can we? We could peace out some of them. Not enough for us to win the fight, though. They just have a much bigger army. It's only 40,000, though, not counting these guys because they just peaced out. I guess we'll make peace with the Venetians. It's probably better for us not to take too much territory anyway, though really that's just cope. How's our antagonism? It is ticking up from controlling Rome again, so let's hand that out. In fact, maybe what we should do, I was thinking about this, we could form Rome right now. Form Rome, and then just move our capital back to Constantinople, meaning we'd be able to get all the benefits of Rome. What we really want is all roads lead to Rome, which was now available in the current age. Let's just do it. We'll form Rome. Ooh, and now we got a new name. Senatus Populusque Romanus, or S.P.Q.R. for those of us uninitiated. Now let's move our capital back from Rome over to Constantinople. Doing this will have destroyed all of our governorships, so we'll need to rebuild them, although some of them seem to have survived. In fact, if we unpause, we'll probably watch them all blow up, although they don't seem to have disappeared. Do they not disappear automatically now? Who can say? Oh, is it because... No, I don't know why they haven't disappeared. I guess we'll wait and see if they do in fact disappear as time passes. Let's bring our armies back over. They're going to need to replenish. Let's release Ragusa, as I was talking about before. Should we bother releasing these little islands? I'm not sure if we should, because they weren't really enough land to be a separate country. They were just small parts of provinces we already had control. I guess we could release this bit of land here, because it's not within a province we've already cored part of. I think we'll hang on to it, though. If it does become a problem, we can just release it. Yep, all of our local governors exploded, but that was to be expected. It's going to take around 100 days to move back to Constantinople, but it shouldn't be a big problem, though. There we go, we're back in Constantinople. We're going to need to rebuild all of our unique buildings because they all exploded. And of course, we now need to re-throw down our local governors. Now that we're Rome, we do have access to legionaries. Unfortunately, legionaries kind of suck. Ooh, we actually surpassed Ming as the military hegemony. Something seems to have happened to the Ming army. Surpassed by Korea as well. Maybe they just downgraded? They're not at war. To be fair, I can't really see them over there, so anything could be happening. Now, I think we're going to jump Naples. Naples isn't actually in the HRE, and they are Orthodox. So no one should really mind us jumping them. They do have a few allies, Italian ones. Maybe we'll see about taking them as well. We've got to be careful though, right? We've got to be careful. The mercenary swarm means we do need to be careful. Just a war against a bunch of nobodies can turn sour if they pull up hundreds of thousands of mercenaries. We'll move over 2 of our armies to Italy. I guess we'll move all 3. I was going to say, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. We can probably just do it with 2 armies, but why take the risk? It's just me being lazy and wanting to avoid pressing the few buttons it takes me to transport an army over, and then doing it again later. Alright, we're in position. Let's attack Naples. They're going to call in a few Italians. As I said, we'll see if we can't annex them. We'll have to keep an eye on our antagonism, though. Since we did take the military hegemony, though, it's going to be even easier for us to take land due to the war score cost efficiency. What is our war score cost efficiency, actually? Let me check my modifiers. Our war score cost efficiency is currently at 44.55%, meaning it should be about half price to take land. Naples does have quite a lot of high-level forts, though. One thing I do regret is not grabbing Mill in the last age, because we could have grabbed that extra 20% siege ability. To be fair, though, we do need the cultural capacity, though we are getting quite low on the cultural front. We used to be at 20, and now we're only at 12, due to the amount of people that have converted. Latins still only make up 3% of the nation, though. To be fair, we're converting 500 people a month in Constantinople, so it shouldn't be too long to convert all of them. Ah, our ruler finally died. He was 65. Let's see, can we finally re-elect a Hellenic ruler? We've got a Hussite with nearly max in all stats as our first candidate. Second, we got this Orthodox fellow. He's a painter. Third, we got this guy. Again, no Hellenics. I was sure a Hellenic was in the running. Maybe he died. with all that in mind, we could elect this lower Egyptian guy. He is the eldest of the three, but he's not the best. So instead, I think we're going to elect this guy. We're nearly max all in stats. He can be our Hussite ruler for now. Hopefully he won't live too long. These guys here have capitulated because their war exhaustion got too high. We could full annex them. It would really give us the antagonism though. To be fair, it wouldn't be too bad now that I look at it. It would mainly just be the Italian states that gain antagonism. I think we'll do it. We'll full annex them. Although, instead of full annexing, could we just turn them into a pronoia? Would that equal the same amount of antagonism? It looks like it does, unfortunately. That's too bad. That would have been cool if we could pronoia them. Because these guys are a republic, aren't they? They are a republic, so if we turned them into a pronoia, they would just, be inherited when their ruler dies, essentially achieving the same result. Maybe we should just turn them into a pronoia instead. I think we'll try it. We'll see how it works. They might end up having such a negative relationship with us that, they immediately become rebellious. But as I said, we'll see how it works. Yes, as I said, they're immediately disloyal for us, forcibly turning them into a vassal. And they didn't join this war, which is honestly for the best. We could call them in there. We could call them in, but they're so disloyal, there's a good chance they would just wipe peace. We could support loyalists in their country, then call them in. I doubt they'll provide much help, but I guess they still have the mercenaries they hired to fight us, so they could send those to fight their former friends. And this caused a bunch of antagonism in the HRE because it considers it HRE member under infidel domination. I guess that's interesting to know. It doesn't seem to have considered the other nations I have that are in the HRE who are my vassals though, so maybe it's just because I force vassalled a HRE member. So in the future we should probably just annex them if they are HRE members. Alright, we've beaten the Neapolitans. We could just full annex them and take a bit of the Arborian land as well. We haven't actually occupied them though, mainly because I'm too lazy to go over there. But this is going to give us quite a bit of antagonism, of course. I'm wondering whether we should even care about antagonism anymore. We have quite a large bank, quite a high income, and if Egypt is the one always leading the coalitions and I can just pay them off with like 9,000 ducats, maybe we should just let the coalitions form and then just pay them off. It sounds really stupid, and it doesn't sound like it would work. It sounds like it would just backfire horribly. But either way, we're going to full annex Naples. What's the worst that could happen? One thing we can do now that we full annex Naples is we could release them as a pronoia. Since we don't really have any control in southern Italy, due to it being over the sea, we might as well do so. They're going to be a pretty strong vassal, but we'll release Naples back into the world. They'll probably make much better use of this land than I would, and when their ruler dies, we'll of course get a large lump sum. Let's move our army back over to our side of the land. One of the good things is, even if we don't control this land, they'll still have Latin spread into it because it's part of the Romance language. Let's actually take a look at the spread of our movements at the moment. We can see the Hellenicist movement spreading quite a lot. Is there a way for me to tell it to show me only one of the movements? Doesn't seem so, and they're both the same colour, so I guess we'll just have to kind of guess about the Latin movement. Apparently it's present in 247 locations. It actually started here in Sicily. Some of these provinces actually have both movements. As always in E5, I feel like my main bottleneck is always manpower. We just need more of it. Never seem to not need more of it. I'll try and avoid spending my whole treasury on building barracks and training yards, but it's very tempting to do so. Aha, we have got attacked. I thought the coalition might not do anything. In fact, did Egypt leave the coalition? No, Egypt's in. They're just not the leader anymore. I'm surprised they attacked us because they're only slightly stronger. So let's see, if we wanted to just bribe these guys, we could let them humiliate us, we could pay war reparations. Would they ask for any forts to be demolished? They wouldn't mind this fort being demolished, and these two. In fact, demolishing one of these forts is enough for them to be happy enough to make peace. I guess let's do that. It essentially costs me nothing. I'm seeing the inkling of an idea now though. If we just bribe the coalition every time, then we can just expand with impunity essentially. The hardest part will actually be expanding, what with the whole millions of mercenaries thing. Here's another question. How does one demolish the HRE? I'm not sure. Does it tell me here? No. But I'm thinking we make Austria a target. They're not actually that strong if you look at them, of course. That's not taking into account mercenaries. Their main strength is that they've got a lot of friends to help them. In fact, they've got, what, 16 allies? Definitely chomping at the bit a bit, as it were. If we attacked them, we could take advantage of that. Maybe annex Venice. I've just noticed there's a huge Verdun here. Were they forcibly released from France? Although they're leading the coalition against France. Or did France go around them? I don't remember them existing. Yeah, France has a core on them, so they must have been released by the coalition, I guess. So at least the coalition over there has done its work, I guess, against the French. Since we did just beat the coalition here, maybe we should head back to Africa and start spreading over here again. We should be able to annex Tunis in one war, or at least very much reduce them, and then think about invading the Mamluks. Not the Mamluks, Morocco. Mamluks are over there now. How are we doing on religion? Hellenicism has actually taken over. It's now the majority faith in the empire. 11 million pops now follow Hellenicism. You'd love to see it if only our rulers could be Hellenic. We can see Latin here has made up nearly 5% of our country now. We're getting close to the point where our cultural capacity is going to stop being negatively impacted due to the amount of cultures we're accepting. That would be excellent. For now though, I think we'll leave things here. Not a lot got done this episode. I suppose we did become Rome, but we didn't expand nearly as much as I'd like to normally. But now that I've found a tactic to deal with the coalition, just pay them off, maybe we'll just expand like crazy. They're still the mercenaries though, they're the real problem. They turn every war into a slog, even though we are kind of the undisputed military hegemony, although Korea's catching up. What has Korea done to Ming over there? I wish I could see, but in a way, maybe it's for the best I can't. But it looks like Korea... Well, let's look. Korea's got 5 million pop. There's no way Ming only has 5 million pop, right? Nah, Ming has 91 million. But somehow, Korea is competing with them. Even economically, they're just behind Ming. Is this it? Are we experiencing the Great Korean Uprising? Probably not. Either way though, I'll thank you for watching. I'll hope you did enjoy this episode, even though not a lot happened. I guess we stabilized economically. We're making a lot of money now. And we're making a lot of manpower too, but I always want more. I'm never satisfied with manpower. There just always needs to be more of it. Either way, I'll see you next time.